And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, is Cody Stavenhagen. And joining us for the first time, a man whose trophy case just got a little bit more full. He is the reigning 2024 Cy Young winner, Tarik Skubal. Tarik, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
We're doing great. We're recording this not too long after you officially received the award. So I guess I do have a little bit of a question. You get named the winner. If we're being honest, probably kind of knew that this was happening for a while. But then you actually have the award and it's got your name on it and you're giving an acceptance speech. Does it feel more real, or what's that like to kind of have this elongated process of receiving what's really the greatest individual accolade a pitcher can receive?
Yeah, I mean, that was my one, not problem, maybe complaint is the right word, is you win the Cy Young November 20th, right? And I don't get my hands on an award until, what's the date? 5 days ago, January 25th or whatever day it was. I'm like, I would have loved to spend some time with it for 3 months, and then you go to Lakeland, and I'm not going to bring it to Lakeland. I'll probably keep it somewhere, and then probably have it up in Detroit. But I would have liked to enjoy it. It's right behind me right there. I would have liked to enjoy it a little bit, longer when this is the office where I don't really do much business stuff. It's more video games. So I would have loved, be able to play some video games, and then whenever I die or whatever, just look back and just kind of see the award. But yeah, that was my one complaint. But it was pretty cool getting the physical award. Definitely made it feel a little bit more real, rather than just being named one, and getting the actual thing was really cool.
Tarik, there are a couple stories of people, Heisman Trophy winners, trying to get the Heisman Trophy through airport security. Does the Cy Young Award fit in a suitcase, or how do they mail it to you? How do you get that thing home?
Yeah, so I brought no carry-ons to New York. I checked all my luggage, so I was like, this isn't going underneath the plane. So I actually gave it to my agent, and then my agent packed it up and shipped it out to me, and did the whole 2 authentication. You got to show the ID, and then you got to sign for it and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, yeah, we're doing this. This is not getting lost. This is going to be here. So he shipped it to me so that way I can enjoy it, for the next couple of days before I head down to Lakeland. But yeah, it was, I didn't take it back with me. I didn't really want to. Airports are a little sketchy that way. You never know if you lose luggage, and sometimes, you get the little TSA checked your bag or whatever. And I'm like, they check that bag and take it. It's
So the whole ceremony was streamed on the Foul Territory YouTube page. So if you guys haven't seen it, you can go watch it. You can go watch Tarik's speech, which was great and really reflective, and kind of showed another side of you that if you just watch Tarik in between the lines, it's, a little bit different. But before all that, I just got to ask, it's the best of the best. There's all the, you're about to get this award, lifelong achievements, all these things I'm sure are going through your head. But then also you're sitting next to Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
What, just talk about just kind of weird things happening all at once. What was that like to kind of go through everything? And then, you sit down and you're like, oh, that's Saturday Night Live, 30 Rock. It's Tracy Morgan. What's going on here?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, first off, he's pretty funny. His speech was pretty funny too. But he's a funny guy. He was cracking jokes up there. He's interesting though. He's interesting. Sitting with him for dinner, it gets a little interesting at times. But it was fun. It was fun. It was a cool experience for sure. And he was trying to tell me to get on, Saturday Night Live. I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm your guy. I'm not. I don't really know if I'm gonna go act and do that. He goes, no, that's the best thing you can do. I'm like, I don't think I'm your guy, but I appreciate the confidence. You may think I'm that, And then once I got my award, I sat down with it. He goes, you won the Cy Young? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I didn't realize you were that good. And I was like, well, thank you, I guess. I was like, yeah, that's kind of why I'm here. That's why I'm sitting up here. But it was cool. It was cool. Sitting next to him, I forget the lady on my right. I forget her name, but she was like nails. She'd been in the industry for 30, 40 years or something like that. Like first female in clubhouses and stuff. And
Susan Waldman, right?
yeah, that's her name. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and her stories were great. Her stories were really, really cool. And she knows everyone there. Like everyone was like the interaction. I'm like, yeah, you must be someone very important. I've never really crossed paths with you yet, but you must be someone really important. And then as the night went on, I realized that, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't know that sitting there, next to her. She didn't act like that. She acted just like I'd known her for forever. But that was cool. Where I was seated was really cool.
Absolutely. Well, most people watching this or listening are probably familiar with your journey and your story, but you brought it up a little bit again when you received the Cy Young Award. And I think the question now is kind of like, how do you make sure success doesn't change the ethos of who you are? Have you thought about that much this off season, and how do you kind of keep the underdog mentality going forward?
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm not sure it's like an underdog, you know, that type of thing where you've been counted out. But I mean, there's definitely been adversity in my career. But I think it's just even more motivation is like, I'm glad I'm very grateful to win a Cy Young Award. And that's a extremely, it's a huge honor and all that. And I totally understand that. But the hunger for me always comes from winning games and winning championships. I think that, you get a ring on your finger. I think that's probably the only award that's more important than the one I got behind me, So I think that the hunger stays there. I don't think that. I mean, what we were able to accomplish as a team last year was great, but there's only one happy team at the end of every season, and the goal is to be that happy team.
So the thing about receiving that honor when you did, and kind of like the steps that your career has taken, is that like I imagine there's a way that you have always kind of viewed yourself. It's like, all right, you mentioned not wanting to, or not, excuse me, not wanting to, but not thinking you were going to be a pro prospect. Then you are a pro prospect, and it's get to the bigs, and it's get your feet wet, then it's establish yourself, and then now it's like Cy Young. It's actually a pretty linear progression, which is not that common in baseball, as everybody knows. So I'm kind of curious, kind of along the lines of what you said previously there, but like, how do you view yourself now? Like, how do you view yourself now that you have, that accolade behind you, but also knowing that there's still a lot of career left for you?
Yeah, I think I'm the same guy. I'm not going to let an award define who I am or um, change who I am in the clubhouse, change who I am as a teammate, change my work ethic. If anything, the award kind of adds a target on your back a little bit. It's like just like when I'm going against guys that win MVPs, like I know who's won an MVP in every single lineup or who's a silver slugger or you know guys around the league, right? So it's like I'm going to match that with even more energy and more competitiveness and more behind the scenes work that comes with it. So I think that's also a cool part of it. Is being able to continue to build on that and as much as it was a cool year last year, like it going into this year, I don't think there's going to be one guy that cares that standing in the box that cares about what I did last year. I just don't believe in that. They're going to try and do the same thing. They're going to try and get hits and run the ball around the yard and score runs and try to win a game. And me saying, oh yeah, I want a Cy Young. I don't think that does anything for me. So it's like, I'm going to continue to go to work and worry about my craft and try to get better each and every day. And just be healthy for another season. And if I'm healthy and I'm taking the mound every fifth day, I like our odds of winning those games.
All right, pitching question, because I know you like to get into the weeds with this stuff a little bit. Everyone likes to talk about the changeup and the slider's sexy, and it's cool when you hit triple digits. But I think the most underrated, maybe tweak to your game last year was really upping your sinker usage, especially against lefties. How intentional was that? How important was that for you last season?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, the sinker up and in to righties too was a big pitch for me. Freeze pitch or just get some uncomfortable takes, and you can kind of expand the zone in to where it opens up changeups away. But sinkers to lefties just worked. So we would game plan and be like, this is the pitch to this guy, whatever, and we get in the game and I'm throwing sinkers and they're not really hitting it around, and I'm getting a lot of positive results. It's on the ground, and it wasn't really that wasn't one of my goals going into the season. When you go over plan of attack of how I'm going to get guys out, and because the goal was to start striking out lefties at a higher clip. In 23, I didn't really strike out a ton of lefties. They didn't do damage, but there wasn't a ton of swing and miss. So I was trying to generate more miss there, and part of that was reducing sinker usage. And then when we got into the season, the sinker was really effective, and it's like, well, why would I change? I'm not gonna change it. And then nor do I get a ton of lefties anyways. There's not a lot of lefties in lineups for me, and the lefties that are staying in there are Shohei, Harper's, Schwarbers, Freddie Freeman's, those guys that are dogs. So yeah, I think, it's a good pitch. There's a lot of positive stuff that happens, when they hit it. If they put it in play, it's typically on the ground. And with those lefties when they're the really good lefties, they're the guys that run the ball out of the yard consistently. So if I can just keep them in the yard, I think that's a win, even if they get a single. Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, if I'm limiting those guys to singles, that's a good day for me, for me to keep them in the yard and get to the next at bat without the run score changing. So yeah, I think that was kind of the thought process behind it. There's just a lot of positive stuff, and then you start mixing in changeups, and then I become a more complete pitcher to left-handed get bats, and it was just a good mix, all the way around of reading swings, and that's obviously the credit goes to Jake there. I just there's not a ton of shaking going on. I said it all year, so it's up. It's not like it's on him if I do well or bad, but he kind of does all that for me to where I'm just kind of throwing the pitch. And then once you get confidence in a pitch, I think it plays even up. And yeah, I think it's just kind of a snowball effect to having a lot of positive results.
Related question, but 2021, you've talked about, the homers you gave up, but even then you profiled as a little bit more of a fly ball pitcher. And then beginning in 2022, there's a pretty distinct change where you started really getting guys on the ground. The ground ball rate went up a lot. What would you attribute that to? Because that's not something you see a lot, that big of a change.
Yeah, I stopped throwing four-seam fastballs in 2-0 counts and 2-1 counts and 3-1 counts and
That'll do it.
1-0 counts. Yeah, I just for whatever reason I had to see 35 of them leave the yard before I made an adjustment. Just because I loved my heater in the minor leagues. It worked for me. I threw it 80% of the time and nobody hit it. And then you get to the big leagues and everybody can hit 95, 96 from the left side. It doesn't phase them as much as it does in the minor leagues. Obviously the caliber of player is different too, but yeah, I kind of had to learn the hard way of being a more complete pitcher and throwing sliders and throwing changeups and counts and commanding not just throwing sliders, but commanding it to my arm side and then to my glove side and throwing curveballs to kind of play the slow fast game. So there's just been a lot of development in me as a pitcher, in terms of just pitch usage and yeah, my usage might not change. I'm still probably throwing 55 to 60% fastballs, but I'm throwing them in different counts. And that is the biggest difference, I think, when you're not just laying in a 2-0 heater to a guy that can run the ball out of the yard. And that's pretty much every big leaguer runs the ball out of the yard on 2-0 fastballs. I think you just don't see it a ton, right? And then, you pick and choose your counts and when you want to do it, you see tendencies and guys swings and they may be sitting soft in those counts because the percentages are so much off speed, and then you can sneak a heater by him, and that's pitching, right? That's pitching is I think that's the beauty in the game, is just being able to throw pitches in certain counts of go against odds, and then you bring the whole chess match into it, and that's fun. But yeah, that's long-winded question, but that's what I got.
Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up, and we have the recommendation for you to check out right now. Don't wait. It's 1-800-Flowers.com. This year, we're partnering with 1-800-Flowers to make sure you're a Valentine's legend with an exclusive offer for the FT fam. It's double the roses for free. When you buy 1 dozen, they're going to double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. It's the perfect way to wow her without breaking the bank. 1-800-Flowers always delivers. Let them dominate this holiday. It's what they do best.
Think about everyone in your fam that deserves some love on Valentine's Day. I sent a bouquet to my daughter at college, and it lit up her day. I also added an awesome vase to the order for her, so she's got it all.
All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. Don't wait. Think ahead this year. Make it easy and get that deal right now. When you order 1 dozen, they'll double the rose bouquet for free. That's the FT deals that we're always looking out for. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/FT. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/FT.
That was great. That was complicated and yet simple, which is one of the things that I love about baseball. And the game has gotten smarter over the years. Obviously, the lazy term is analytics, but we know there's a lot more into it than just what that term is. I'm curious, season to season, I'm sure you're getting stuff from the team and the coaches, information about this and a lot of that stuff that you just laid out. But you also have like your own team, and you talked about the resources that the Boras Corp has kind of allowed you to have, in your Cy Young speech. So I'm just kind of I'm curious about your process on how you kind of just take in all this information and then be able to like exercise it and then execute it year to year.
Yeah. So, right at the end of first off, I take running notes of every start I've had, since 2018. So I keep running, notes of good, bad, no matter what. And I think it's important as an athlete, to look yourself in the mirror and be like, this was a good day, or this was a bad, or like mentally, was this a good day? Mentally, was this a bad day? And being okay with bad days and like understanding that it happens. So I have lists, and then at the end of every season, I'll get with Fett, Lundy, Juan, and we'll our whole pitching department, and we'll go over a plan of what I thought I did well, what I thought I didn't do well, and I basically say, tell me what you guys got for me, and I want to know honest. Don't tell me like, don't pump smoke. If I'm going to get better, I need to be coached and be coachable. So I'll do all those things, and we'll create a plan of what we want to do in the off season. And a lot of it is just like being consistent, right? I think if I'm being consistent in my routine and my preparation and my thought process and, mentally where I'm at, physically where I'm at, when I'm on the mound, things become very simple for me. And it's just about going out and executing pitches. And there's not a ton of noise going on in my head. And for me, simple is better. And when I know I'm preparing and doing all the stuff that I need to do between starts and in an off season, the game becomes simple for me. And that's when I'm at my best. So I think that's kind of how I process information. And after 21, when I got done with that season, I think my list was, very long. I was texting with Fett, and it was a very long list of stuff that I thought I needed to get better at. And he basically texted me back, couldn't agree more. And then you just kind of put your head down and go to work. And that's the beauty of the game. I think it rewards those who want it and work for it. And maybe not always in the moment, but I think in the long run, it always does.
Tarik, you mentioned Boras. One of the things I think it's hard not to respect about Scott and the Boras Corp is they have their own scouting operation. You were obviously not that heralded for a long time. Your profile was rising right before your TJ in college, but I think if I had to guess, Boras Corp identified you almost before some pro teams. How did you become a Boras client?
How?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they, after my freshman year of college, I had a successful season as a freshman in college. Pitched well. The velocity wasn't great. I would be up to like 90, 91 maybe, but I pitched kind of like 86 to 89 and had a successful season. And then that summer, I basically told myself I need to start throwing harder. So if I'm going to start throwing harder, I need to get stronger. Worked out really hard, had a great fall. Was throwing really hard, 94, 95. A couple of 96s, had another good winter, and then spring came around and I felt great. I put in a ton of work, and my arm felt great, velocity was great, and I had a start my first start was against St. Mary's. I was supposed to go Friday actually against Corbin Burns, but I like tweaked my lat probably a week prior, maybe 2 weeks prior, and they're like, hey, we're just gonna have you go Sunday anyways. So I went Sunday and I pitched really well. My velocity I was pretty much 94 to 97 and struck out a ton of guys, and it was a good day for me. And that's kind of when my name blew up. And then I went to had a couple more starts, and then Boras, Scott himself, and I think Champ and maybe Fee, they came out to UC Irvine start, and because that's like right down the road, and I went and pitched, and I was there, and I pitched well again, and my velocity was great, and met with them after the game, met with them the next day, and funny enough, I actually I think after that season ended, maybe around Thanksgiving or Christmas time, I actually told them I'm going to go somewhere else. I appreciate you guys, but I'm going to go with some different representation. And that was before you could have an agent in college. You know, they were called advisors, which I thought was stupid, but
Of course.
whatever. But yeah, I actually told them I'm going to go somewhere else. And they're like, give us one more meeting. Who are you going to select? And I was like, okay. I told them who I was going with, and they're like, okay. And they flew out to my hometown the next day, got on a plane to Vegas, drove an hour and a half to my hometown, sat in my house, and basically presented every number of everything they've done compared to the agent I was going to go with. Because you just kind of hear the rumors, right, of Boras, and you're naive to what's actually truth. You kind of hear it's a meat market. You don't really ever talk to him. No, he doesn't really value his clients. He only values his superstars, which couldn't be farther from the truth. But yeah, he basically sent me down every single number of draft, arbitration, free agent contracts, contracts done, like everything, right? And the numbers weren't particularly close, and I was like, well, that's good information. And obviously there's a lot of interest that they're coming to my hometown, and on a whim, like literally the next day they're there, and sat through a 4-hour meeting, I think, and yeah, then the rest is history. Been with them ever since.
I had a feeling there was going to be a good backstory there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they brought out the big guns for you then a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, I told him no, and I don't think he's used to that, so I think that's why the big guns were brought out. So yeah, that was really cool, and then our relationship has grown, ever since then, and it's been good.
Well, since we're on the topic, we got to at least address it a little bit. Flash forward a few years, you've had to deal with some trade speculation. Now you're getting asked questions about long-term future extension, and you've mostly said, "I'm going to let my agent handle that." I think not to put words in your mouth, but how have you kind of learned to deal with the rumors and the outside noise and the business aspect of the game as that continues to pop up for you?
Yeah, I think that, it's the media doing their job, right? I mean, that's their job, is to report to fans and get, news out there of stuff that's going on. But as a player, you have no say in it. There's not a ton that I can say, or I don't think, in the situation that I'm currently in with extension stuff or whatever you want to talk about, I don't think it does any good for me to publicly talk about what's going on. I just don't think it's good for anybody, for the organization, for my agency. It just creates a lot more drama and a lot of more headlines that I don't want to be involved in. I want to be involved in the headlines of, clinching a playoff, or, going on a win streak, or, stuff like that. Those are the headlines that I want to be involved in. And those are the conversations that I love to have with media, is when it's about the team. But when it starts to get about me, I'm not a big fan of it. So that's kind of why I answer the way I do. But yeah, I try to keep those things private. It's not good. I don't think it's fair if those things get a little public, then just puts more on my plate of, my family's calling me, hey, is this true? Is this true? Is this, fans ask, is this true? Is this, it's just, I'd rather kind of handle that in-house. And I know people don't want to hear that, but that'll probably be my answer I look forward to fielding these questions a ton, in a couple weeks.
It's just beginning.
Yeah,
But
I'll answer it once, and I'll answer it again and again, and it'll probably be the same answer. But yeah, that's just kind of how I think I want to operate, and keep it professional. Obviously, the business side of the game is the business side, right? It's not the side you really want to be involved in anyways. You want to be inside on the baseball side of the game, but it's a big part of the game, and I understand that. But I always leave it, as this. Like I love playing in Detroit. It has nothing. It's the business will take care of itself, and then yeah.
Well, speaking of handling your business, so we just talked to Parker Meadows and Austin Jackson is a part of our podcast, and so they've kind of given us the position player perspective on starting pitchers locking in day of start. And so, Austin had a really funny story about Verlander basically saying, like, look, you're going to say hi to me if I'm going to be out running my butt in the outfield trying to get these fly balls. So he had a good humor about it. I'm just curious, what is your lock in process on a day of a start, and then afterward, like, because obviously everybody sees your intensity. What's your unwind process? Once you come out of the game.
Yeah, so on days I pitch, I used to do in 21 and 22, I would do the whole headphone thing and like, don't talk to me, because that's like what I thought was the way to do it, and everyone had to do it. So I did that, but I felt like it created way more stress and anxiety than needed to be, because like the music's going, but like you're not really listening to music. Your brain has, at least my brain's just like firing off stuff while I'm listening to music. It's not like the numbing effect that I think people use it for. So that's something I changed in 23. It was like, I'm done doing that. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy my day. It's a game. I'm going to go compete my ass off, and then when it's time to lock in, that's probably, an hour and a half before the game, maybe an hour before the game. Then I'm pretty, dialed in on what I'm doing. But as far as other things, I want to keep it light and loose. And, with the guys that we have in the clubhouse, I want them to feed off the energy that I have. So if I'm in a very positive mood and I'm having a good time and I'm cracking jokes, I think everyone else kind of loosens up a little bit and gets to play the game pretty free. And I think that's important, especially with the young team that we have. I think that everybody feeds off each other. And I think a lot of the, don't talk to me stuff for me personally doesn't work. So I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to be who I am. And that's who I am. I'm going to interact with the guys in the clubhouse and have a good time and enjoy the day. But when it's time to go, it's time to go, and I'm going to go compete. And I think I'm a pretty good competitor in terms of doing that. And that focus that comes with it. And then as far as winding down post start, good or bad start, that's kind of why, there's obviously some physical stuff and benefits of working out on the day you pitch. So I'll go and work out right after the game, and good or bad, I usually get a lot of that energy out to where I can kind of decompress again. And that's kind of my decompress, is me going and working out. And, when I enjoy working out, I enjoy that grind. So it gets me in a good spot. And then I do, my shoulder program. And then typically by the time I'm done talking to media or stuff like that, I'm pretty much done, and then I'll go get in a cold tub for 4 minutes or whatever, and that usually calms me down. And then I'm by the time I get home, I try to be just a dad and then be a dad to my son, and try not to take any baggage from the field home and all that stuff. But yeah, that's what a day looks like for me. I think Cody's been around enough starts for me where I think I'm probably a lot different than most starters on the day they go.
Is it start days you get donuts? Where do the donuts come into play?
That's just every day game. Every day game, I try to bring in donuts. And our team, one, they like donuts, they eat them, and two, it tends to work out for us offensively. That's kind of why I started bringing in donuts. And I started, the circle donuts were for pitchers, and then I would bring in, the Long John style ones, and those are for hitters. So like, I don't want hitters eating circle donuts. I want hitters eating, the ones with ones, because that's what we want to score, and yeah, it was fun. But now I'm the donut guy, and that's fine. I think it's cool going and picking up donuts, and they know who you are, and they expect phone calls from you the night before and stuff, and then you walk in, it's already set up, pay, and get out of there. So yeah, it's I enjoy that. It's fun.
You go to Apple Fritter Donut Shop, right? In Ferndale?
Yeah. Apple
It's right down the road from me. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't sponsor us, but hey, they always could.
They can.
Yeah, they should. They should sponsor the Tigers on day games.
There you go.
we already have the order set up, and we call in, and my wife will call, and she'll be like, yeah, this order's for Jessica. They go, okay, we got it, don't worry. And then they literally have the order already. You don't have to say a word.
Yes.
And yeah, it's cool.
So Tarik, there's I have kind of like a question. It's really personal for me. Like I am a baseball reference fiend. Like I'm on there probably 24 hours a day. In my sleep, I'm still on Baseball Reference. I just love
That's
that
not
website.
healthy. That's
It's
not
not. It's not. It's not. But I just love the deep dives. I mean, I could spend I sometimes do spend all day there. On your page, I'm looking at it right now. There is no nickname for you listed. Now there's all kinds of bad nicknames for other guys, and I don't necessarily want to out people, but there's some that I don't really think should have the stature of being a Baseball Reference nickname. You are nicknameless. So for a while now, I've been pounding the table for Scary Terry. It was my idea for your nickname, and I want to get it on Baseball Reference. That would be like, I would put that on my gravestone if I came up with a nickname and got on Baseball Reference. So some people don't like it. Some people do like it. It's you.
We saw a couple of your coaches start putting that out on social media. Though.
Yeah.
So thumbs up or thumbs down on Scary Terry.
Yeah, I think everyone calls me Scoob or something like that, Scooby Doo. That's kind of like the obvious one there. But my iPhone's name is Scary Terry. So whenever I connect to my car, it says like Scary Terry. So that's my iPhone's name is that. It's cool until you have to get I dropped a message from Chris Hale's wife, and she's like, "Do you have your drop on?" And it was a picture of me and Chris, and I'm like, "Yeah, I do." And she clicks on it and goes, "Scary Terry." I go, "That is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry." Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. Obviously, the show that it comes from and the guy that it is, I get why there's maybe a little bit of controversy there. But I like it. Terry McLaurin, the wide receiver for the Commanders, he's Scary Terry too. And yeah, I think it works for me. I mean, I don't know, is Baseball Reference like Wikipedia where you can just like go edit it?
No, they do it all themselves. And Pitching Ninja does a highlight of yours. I tag Baseball Reference, Scary Terry. I put in the groundwork. This is a grassroots cause that I have here. And so now I can say endorsed by Tarik Skubal's iPhone. So that will be added to the list.
Yeah, if you ever see that on you know what I'm talking about, the air drop. If you ever see Scary Terry, that's me. I mean, unless someone else is Scary Terry. That's my airdrop for my phone name. So I guess it works for this too. So whoever we got to talk to get it on there, I mean, by all means, go ahead.
Awesome.
There we go. Well, hey, as we're starting to wrap up here, I'm about to pack a lot into one question, so we don't keep you forever. But you gave a little Alex Bregman plug at the awards ceremony. I'm curious how much of you kind of follows what the team is doing in the offseason, almost like a fan, or like you're just looking to see your roster upgraded. And then you guys just signed Tommy Canley, dude who threw 61 changeups in a row. What do you know about him? What do you like about him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously excited to have him, in our bullpen. He's been great for a lot of years. There's a lot of swing and miss. He's pretty much, he's not a platoon. He's not going to go in and face righties. He gets righties and lefties out equal amounts. So that's obviously a huge plus, bringing him in any leverage. And, when you need to punch out, he can get that for you. So I'm obviously excited to have him on the team. But as far as free agent stuff, I mean, I see it probably the same time everyone else sees it. There's people who are the ones. I don't even know how that works, by the way. I don't know who becomes the first.
It's a messy world, dude. There's a reason I'm not good at it, honestly.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how it gets, released or whatever. You think about the Ohtani like flight to Toronto thing. Like, I don't know how that stuff gets formulated and sent out. But I probably see it at the same time you guys, and I'm just as excited as fans are, when it comes to signing players that obviously upgrade our roster. If you want to win, it takes a lot of talent, and you need a lot of good players to do it, and you probably need more than you think you need, to win. So, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't want to sit as a player. I'm never going to try and play GM or or do anything like that of what we need or what we want to do. My job is to go play. And whoever we got in the clubhouse, those are the guys you go to war with, every season, once camp breaks and you got your 26 or it's 26, right? 26 guys.
26, yeah.
Yeah, you got your 26, and those are the guys that really matter and are really important. And obviously there's guys that are going to come up and help you along the way. But whoever's in that clubhouse, that's kind of where I keep my focus.
We are almost to a new season, which means we're running out of time to reflect on last year and how fun it was. So I got one video I want to show you, and I want to see what you remember, if anything.
Who's going to hit it hardest tonight here in the clubhouse?
Me. I don't have to play tomorrow. Me.
You always want to win.
Me.
Legendary.
Yeah, that's a great clip. I'm afraid I don't think I did go the hardest that night. I think there were some guys that I will keep out of it, But yeah, I think there were some guys that outperformed me that night. That was a ton of fun. I'm still convinced that if we didn't go into a rain delay the next day, we would have won that game. Because the rain delay, I think that's when the hangover set in, and that kind of sucked. But yeah, if we would have played at 1 like we were supposed to, I think we would have, put on a performance just because everyone's minds were just kind of gone. So yeah, that was a ton of fun. And I mean, that's what it's all about, those games. I think that's what makes baseball beautiful, is every time you win, you celebrate like that. And I just feel like that doesn't happen in any other sport. There's not a champagne shower for every time you do, win the division, clinch playoffs, whatever it is, win the first round, win the second round. I just don't think any other sport's doing it like that, like baseball does. And that's always a ton of fun.
Well, Tarik, I know I speak for Tiger fans everywhere that hope there's multiple celebrations to be had this coming season. We want to thank you for taking the time with us right here on the home stretch before it's Lakeland time. And then, season's basically here already. The off season gets shorter and shorter, I feel like. So I want to thank you for taking the time with us here, Tarik. And if you want to watch this episode, if you're not also doing so already, you can do it on YouTube, Tiger Territory. Subscribe if you haven't. And you can follow Cody on Twitter at Cody Stavenhagen. I am at Kieran_Steckley. The pod page is at Tiger Territory _. So for Cody Stavenhagen and Tarik Skubal, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.